Guys, welcome back to the Matt Chat Podcast with yours truly, Paulie P, Uncle P, Buff Daddy, Big Sexy, Cuzzy Frank, Frank Grizzly, the Handsome Man, the Camouflage Man, the Red Man, the Heat Miser, Baby Shay, ODB, or better known as BOD, Peter Olbrich, producer extraordinaire. We're back. Bag of dicks.
I can't help it.
What does that mean?
I don't know, but I like it.
I'm not sure either. Not 100% sure either.
Hey guys, before we continue, please, we continue the support. Please like, share, subscribe on the YouTube channel, all forms of social media. We really like all your feedback. Keep it up. So we got a great something to talk about today. It's kind of like causing hysteria in the
world,
in the populace, right?
That
right
Bud
now.
That Bud Light flu.
Yes, indeed. AKA
The
coronavirus.
So what? I mean, like, I'm kind of curious. Do you guys, this whole coronavirus thing, I know that germs and bacteria are well equipped to evolve and become strong enough.
That they're resistant?
Yeah. But, like, I almost wonder, do you think it's like do you think this is
fabricated,
yeah.
like bioterrorism?
Yeah.
Hell yeah, I think it is.
Why?
Ooh, my little conspiracy theory. Ooh.
Why do you think it's
Well, there was a guy arrested, and I know there was a guy that was arrested recently that was associated with an American that was associated with teaching at the Wuhan University. But
Right.
I don't want to go too deep into it because there's not enough
Evidence?
detail to string everything together. And it's just kind of like,
Yeah, I only think that that's the case because I think that that's the way they get us. It's hard to smuggle in the dirty bombs now. It's hard to do all this other stuff.
Right.
The way you get us is you hit our water. You introduce a virus that's resistant.
well, I remember in the 80s.
That's how
when-
you get us.
In the 80s, and the FBI were doing tests. You had a guy walk around with a suitcase with a mock germ to see how quickly it would spread in Manhattan.
Oh, forget about it.
And it's like,
Dude, that's what I'm saying. And especially this one that you can, China has underplayed it so much. You can get it just from like coughing and someone being over there.
Yeah,
it's not
it's
like
airborne.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So when you have something that powerful, and you know as well as I know, China's like, oh yeah, it's not that bad. It's not that bad. Don't worry about it. Almost nobody's got it. Well, dude, a shit ton of people have it, and they're starting to find that out now.
And that's coming from the country who does, like, they have no EPA
Yeah,
whatsoever.
they got nothing there.
No CDC,
Yeah.
no EPA, they don't care. They destroy their water supply, the smog, right? It's in
Yeah.
Hong Kong.
Dude, it's
Hong Kong.
yeah.
Like, it's like you can't, it's like having mud in front of your face.
Yes.
I remember my sister lived there, and she would
That's right, that's
FaceTime
right,
us.
that's right.
And you would see how bad it is, or she would say like, "Oh, it's so hard to breathe today."
And not only that, they don't want anybody to know what's going on over there.
Listen, all I know is if I get the coronavirus, I'll be looking for a girlfriend with Lyme disease.
But bump.
Wow.
I've been waiting all day. Well, I don't know. Like it's just eerie, man. And I mean, how quickly it's spreading and what it's doing. I mean, I feel like it's more than.
So here's my question. Do we close our borders just like everybody else has done? Hell, they're not even letting ships dock at their ports that have people on there that have spent time there. Yeah.
Well, like I'll tell you this. I'm in private aviation. Bless you.
Thank you.
I'm in private aviation, and we fly a lot in the Caribbean. And right now, we're asking, have you not only the customs does their whole thing, but
Right.
where if you've flown within these territories,
Yeah.
where we can't fly you.
It's common sense.
Well, some would say it's common sense. Others would say it's prejudicial.
Well, too bad. They're retards.
Well, how then
They're
are they
ignorant.
retarded when it comes to this? But when we want to close borders to refugees to say, hey, let's properly
Vet.
let's properly vet these people to find out who we're actually bringing in. That's bad, but this is okay.
Here's why.
It's the same shit.
Here's why.
You close your border, you close your border.
Here's why I say that. Because dead people from a coronavirus can't vote.
Good point.
He's right.
Good point.
Whereas if I get, Juanita and her family across the border and I vouch for them, I'm going to expect her cousin, no offense.
Domino effect.
Because you guys got a lot of cousins, to vote all for me. And it's just kind of like, this is a game. And it's the same, like, they're not doing anything to better your situation. We had this conversation on a previous podcast. They're not doing anything to give you a better life, but they give you a free fucking cell phone. And you go, well, someone's helped me out finally. when he's really, it's like a smack in the face. He's not giving you a stone to step up on. You know, he just gave you a fish for the night to eat like a king. And you're like, oh, I finally have eaten like a king, so I feel good. I'm going to vote for this guy. But it's all just pandering so he can move through his agenda. You know, like if they really wanted to help you, they would help you be self-sufficient so you can go out and do for self. Because if you're going out and doing for self,
yeah, but then you have if you're doing for yourself, then you don't have anybody to thank. You have nobody to say, okay, we have to vote for this guy.
well,
because
there's
he
the
did X,
agenda.
Y, and Z.
But
Yeah.
there's the agenda.
That's what he just said.
That's why I laugh when people.
And I agree. That's
when
what
people
I'm
are like,
saying.
he's a
I
good,
agree.
he's a good person. He helps. He's a philanthropist. Oh, he's doing it for nothing. I.e., right? We talked about last week in regards to jail. Like, well, this guy did 30 years of hard killing and murdering and whatever else. But for 10 years, he was an angel and a saint. Well, funny. How come you weren't a saint first?
Right.
Like,
Absolutely.
Like, I like someone who, the people who does great things for society and others, but doesn't look for the recognition. That's the person who impresses.
Well, they say, what's the most important part of a person? It's what you do when no one's looking that counts.
Right.
You know, do you still do the right things when nobody are looking?
Right.
When nobody's looking. You know, it's like
I almost never do.
it's it's one of those things that
And if I do something right, you damn sure know I'm going to have a sign.
You're not
forget
on
about
Mother
it, no.
Teresa's list.
Hi.
he's got a freaking.
I'm not that altruistic.
He's got a bullhorn. I did it. I did
Hey,
it.
guess what I just did?
I did it. All that to put all that into another question. Do you think that with this coronavirus, do you think that the CDC takes its time in trying to fix it or cure it? Do you think they move slow because they move slow, or do you think it's this, this super virus or super, microbial, whatever it's going to be deemed as, they can't combat it? Do you think it has to do with a lot of things Frank were talking about? I mean, not to lend to conspiracy theories, but it always seems like whenever there's this new virus that comes around, it takes quite a bit of time to find something to combat it. Meanwhile, we have all this technology to put people X, Y, and Z around, but we can't kill a bug.
What I honestly think
Yeah.
is it's a distraction. How many people die a year from alcoholism? How many people die a year from car-related
flu
deaths?
kills a lot
How
of
many
people.
people
Yeah,
die?
the flu alone, yeah.
Right. It's just like when people draw attention to, this is a big problem. It's killing young kids. It's just kind of like, no, it's something that you're attached to and you're making a big deal because this is your agenda.
Right.
Well, real issues that are really happening out there we're not addressing.
Sure.
It's the same thing. I think in China, 177,000 people have died or something like that.
Right.
I don't know how many reported deaths you've had in the United States, but yet how much?
Well, I think we only have like 8 people that have even been infected.
Okay.
So, but I got to be honest, I know for a fact we sent a bunch of people over there to help them out. And I think
we
that's all
always
you
do.
can do.
We always do.
Yeah, that's all you can do.
I just
You
don't.
close your borders, you say, hey, look, you're not coming here.
I think it's a distraction.
Because guess what happens? Now we have 100. See, they've got billions of people, so 176,000 ain't that much. They're like, all right, we lost a couple guys. 176,000 people here, it's a whole different ball.
Yeah, but the mentality here and there is totally different, right? In China, they very much believe like, hey, look, you're supposed to sacrifice for the betterment of the country.
Yeah, well, it's
Where in
a
the United
communist
States, it's about the life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. So, I mean, I think it's sold to them differently. But what concerns me is just the reaction. Like you had one of the first guys who died was a scientist or a doctor that works on the virus who was
Right.
saying like, hey, this is what it's about.
Yep.
They emailed, they messaged, and they were like quelling him, and then finally,
They said, oh, shoot, this is actually exactly what he was saying.
yeah. And it was actually worse than what he was
Yeah.
saying, and then he wound up dying from it. But I mean, again, that's why I feel like it's a distraction. It's not pointing to resolving the issue. It's pointing to mass hysteria. Like, what are we going to do? Well, should we close borders? Are you getting on planes? Should you be getting on ports and boats? Like, I don't want to fucking travel because of this.
I don't blame you.
I think to circle back, or not circle back, but to go back to one of Chris's first points, is like, what is the difference between not vetting refugees and letting them in and letting people in that are testing positive for these diseases? It's the same shit.
And they're profiling too.
Yeah, it's all relative, but it's the same thing. Do you want to? Listen, it's a form of terrorism, and you don't let that type of stuff, whether it's a bad person or a diseased person, into the country until they're helped, until they're vetted, until they're
vetted and they're found that they don't have the exposure to the virus.
They have
Period.
Listen, if you remember. Again, if you remember The Godfather, right, when they show the scene with Vito coming in, and he had
Silent.
what do you have? Was it smallpox or was it chicken pox?
I think it was smallpox.
It was smallpox, right? So what they do? They quarantined him.
Quarantine.
they quarantined him. Said for I think it was 3 months. He couldn't leave where he was in that wing at Ellis Island until he was healthy. It's common sense.
Just makes sense. Exactly.
Okay, here's his paperwork. All right, he's going to be a citizen. He wants to be a citizen. He's coming here as an immigrant. Well, guess what? Until we can assimilate you to the population, we got to get you healthy.
You got to protect the herd.
You know, you don't want to get everyone sick. So, like, how we've come so far from that common sense, you know, process, again, it reverts back to what we're dealing with in society. And I don't
And how
think,
society deems one
Yeah.
thing good and another thing
well, I
completely
think there's
evil.
no difference between a dangerous refugee and a person that's got a disease that could kill the
That's
population.
my point.
I have a more cynical look about it. I feel like they don't want the vetting process because when you let this in, then they have to emergency measures that they're not going to ask you. We have to do this now because if we don't, this is what's going to happen.
Right.
So they're going to. That's how they
You're
erode
force-fed
your,
to do it
and
now.
they
Yeah.
erode your freedoms that way.
Right.
Whereas instead of taking the preventative measures, I have to now be reactive and well, sorry if it sucks for you, but we had to do what's best for the country, right?
After we made the mistake of letting in 50
I don't know why President Trump let these fucking people in, even though we argued that way we should close the borders. But no.
You're wrecking the teaser with the cursing.
Hey, I'm sorry,
YouTube
man.
doesn't
This
care
is
about the cursing.
This is me.
That's the moral with his bullshit. You put the cursing tweets, man. It's the truth. It's only because
no
of you.
cursing, no
It's only
vulgarities.
because of Facebook. That's it. YouTube has no problem with it. I watched tons of stuff on YouTube. The language is way worse than what we.
Right.
Trust me.
He's doing a great, white
It's great.
man
That's
nerd
why you should use that one.
impersonation
Okay,
And use
boomer.
it.
Okay, boomer.
And use it.
Settle down.
Okay.
White guy stuff. You want this again, Peter? Is that what you want? I can't believe that Trump is not closing the borders, but why is he opening the borders?
I like
Conflicting opinions. That's how I am. When it's good for me, it's good for me. When it's not, I'll say what I need to say to pander to the people. I need your votes. You know, it's funny. I made my girlfriend watch Gangs of New York the other day.
Great movie.
Ooh, yeah. it is.
And I was showing her because she's
Scorsese.
well, is it a Scorsese film? I
believe so.
Great film, but one of my favorite
Daniel
characters.
Day-Lewis.
Phenomenal. But honestly, I think one of the characters that's Bill the Butt Cunning.
Bill the Butcher.
Yeah, Madman. But one of the characters in that movie that I think are underrated is the Tammany. What was his name?
Wall Street.
No. The guy who
Oh, the
who was
guy.
running for mayor.
He's like the most corrupt politician in the town.
Yeah, super corrupt.
Yeah.
And you he's what they do, they've always done. And he does it beautifully in that movie because he rides the wave of what he needs to do to keep himself in power. Even he's helping the Irish immigrants, but he's also siding very closely with
Natives.
Cutting.
Yeah.
Cutting hates the Irish.
Yeah.
Right? So he's like, "Hey, I need you to go and hang some people." And he's just like, "Why don't you have the cops?" Who's no. We have to maintain the opinion of the law, even when it's being broken. And then he smiles. And it's just like,
It's the truth.
yeah, you're the magician behind all this confusion, the whole magic act that's happening in front of us. And when people are scratching their heads going, what's going on here? Then you paint the picture that fits your narrative.
Yeah.
And it's what they do. It's what they do. Just like, that's why you had, I'm not going to name drop, but you've had presidents or politicians in the past who were like, listen, this is an issue. We need to close our borders, and we need to take care of the American people, and we need to do what's best for our country. And then a few years later, well, this guy is racist because he's letting people into the country, and these kids are in cages. I
love it.
And I mean, really though, I
love it.
It's a good thing you didn't drop names because we had no idea who you're talking about.
I don't drop names.
Sound like a domestic terrorist to me. That's what he is.
My thing is,
Is and was.
I don't understand the what confuses me. I don't blame them because they're the characters on stage playing the part that they're getting paid to play. That's what I truthfully believe. Who I blame is the audience that's just manja, give me the shit. I want more shit. Manja. I'm sorry, dude.
Teaser.
Give me the crap. I like the big
manja
bowl
part,
of
I
crap.
like the shits better.
Manja. It's the truth. We eat it up. And we propagate them to allow them to keep doing this. I mean, look at what Bloomberg's doing, for crying out loud. He
Got murdered last night too.
He's a wealthy, rich white man
That they all hate.
who's married to a black woman who used to be a lesbian, and he's going to tell you how he's doing great things for the community. What? Let's be realistic. Who does he associate himself with? Who is he hanging out with? He spent the most on advertising recently in regards to his campaign. Billionaire?
Yeah.
Yeah.
How come you haven't put any of that money into helping black communities?
Because it's just power
and if you
grab,
have, how significant was it? Was it as significant as your campaign to become president?
Listen, I
never
haven't
is.
heard one of these guys say that they're not going to take the salary if they get in. I haven't heard one of these guys say they're going to do anything that's positive. It's all a money grab. That stuff.
Every one of their premises is just to say, I'm against Trump. Vote for me versus Trump. That's what their premise is.
They're the island of misfit toys, and I love every bit of it. So
See,
it's like that's kind of where it comes at.
But I'll play devil's advocate. And step on the other side of the line for a second and say, well, here's a guy who goes, well, I'm not gonna take the salary. You know, I'm not gonna take this huge salary, and I look great. I'm not making money from this, but I have an opportunity to put people in power to help me propagate my business, etc. I'm not saying that's what he's doing, but like, how genius of a play is that to be like, oh, I don't need this money. Like, that's a genius play.
He doesn't need it though.
Right. And it's a genius play because now, like,
And donates it to the veterans and to everyone that needs it. I mean, that's the thing. So a matter of, it's again, doing the right things. So, like, listen, Dana White, the president of the UFC, they had a big pep rally, you know, for a Keep America Great thing in Vegas. And Dana White got up there with the president and was like, he's a personal friend of mine. He's a good friend of mine. He goes, he's an honest man. He's a good man. And you people don't know what he does behind the scenes for this country.
Right.
You really have no idea what he does for this country behind the scenes. And that is what's important. Forget the fact that I'm pro-Trump. Yeah, he could be pro-Smith. If he's doing that, then I'm pro-Smith. That's the point. So when a man of power and status like Dana White, who is also a guy who doesn't give two shits. He says what's on his mind. He doesn't care who he offends. He doesn't care. Think about that. He went out there and pledged his support for this man. Okay? Not thinking about, oh,
how's it going
to affect me?
Right.
Because again, it's the other, because the media just bloviates because they're a minority. That's why when you go to the rallies, you got tens of thousands of people standing outside that want to get in. So again, it's all about the message, like you're saying, and how we relate it to what this coronavirus thing is, the hysteria is, guess what? There's three sides to every story, right? There's your side, there's my side, and then there's the truth. So that's really what it comes down to. So I think Chris's point and your point to the conspiracy theory parts of it, they hold a lot of weight.
Oh, absolutely.
Because there's power plays and there's leverage in these situations. But it goes back to the rule of law, all right, and common sense. You do not let dangerous diseases into the country. I don't care if it's America. I don't care if it's Europe. I don't care if it's Australia. I don't care what it is. You don't let them in.
And if the vessel happens to be a human, you don't let the
You
human
let him
in.
in, but you don't put him out. Listen, it's like when they what was it, one of the cruises, right? Didn't they quarantine the whole ship?
Yeah, they did.
Like they had to put him out. They had him on the ocean.
No one
couldn't leave
no
the
one would
ship.
bring him into port.
Right. So how is that any different? How is that any different? It's not any different.
not.
So it's no different from a potentially dangerous refugee to a potentially dangerous carrier of a disease. There's no difference. It's called common sense. Stop the pandering. Stop the it's okay. It's not okay.
not okay.
You are exposing everybody to immense amounts of danger.
To a danger.
Well, what I don't understand is, I mean, what are people arguing that this shouldn't be done? That we should let Chinese people into our country to help them?
And that's the whole democratic part.
But how
thing.
come
Let everyone in,
nobody's
no
sitting there
matter what.
going? How come someone's not going? Hey, China, why aren't you helping your people? Like, I don't understand.
Because in China they're like this.
It's just like,
Don't tell anybody.
yeah, of course,
Exactly.
of course. It's just like that Greta Thunberg, right? That's her
Right.
name. Right? She'll sit there and tell you how
That-
America needs to stop X, Y, Z with greenhouse gases and etc. How come you're not
In
going
China,
after the countries that
India, that are actually abusing? We're like 6% or 7%. They're like 30 each country.
That's right.
But yet she doesn't go over there. We're not doing it. What we're doing, the damage is so minimal.
You know
that
why?
her point is mute. Problem is, we're over here. We'll listen to her.
And also, to your point, that Greta Van, whatever her name is, she can come over to this country, and idiots like Leonardo DiCaprio, who's another hypocrite, okay, will get her a fundraiser. Well, they'll raise $10 million for this kid. or whatever the case is. So they come here for the money. They don't come here for a message. They come here for the money, the agenda. That's what they do. That's why they don't go to these other countries that actually, where the problem is rampant.
Why would I solve the problem?
Yeah.
Oh,
They don't want to solve.
But the thing is,
they're
they're not going to go stand in front of the populace of India, okay, or China, and for a fundraiser for this. Kid.
No, because if you argue
if they're
that,
not, it's not
they're
gonna
going to
happen.
tell you they're doing it here
Yeah.
because they're creating awareness.
Yeah.
It's for
Awareness to
creating
what?
awareness.
Make the awareness over there where they're destroying the
No,
environment.
no. I need to make you guys aware. I need to make you guys aware.
Forget about them. You guys are the problem.
Yeah. Hey, look, I'm overweight. Let me go to China and tell all the skinny people about how there's a weight issue going on. You guys need to eat less. Americans need to keep these pounds on. I don't know what you guys are doing over here. We got to do a better job of eating less, okay? I mean, it's just, it's a ridiculous analogy, but I mean, how I've started to feel like I look around and it's a ongoing circus, and I see who's pulling the strings, and I just don't understand how people eat it up the way they do. Because it's so, the clear-cut agendas are there, and it's like, I don't know, it's almost like a drug addict who knows that it's hurting them, but they can't help it, they need more.
Right.
And I don't get it. I'm with you, though. I think if this is as serious as it should be, anybody who's visited China within a certain amount of time period should be looked at, vetted. People coming in from the country should be vetted.
You have to do it.
I don't know. What's the matter? You nervous?
No.
Bag of dicks got your tongue?
I can be honest, they taste good, so yes, they did have my tongue.
We're
And on that
gonna
note-
we're gonna wrap it up, and we will revisit the BOD at one point.
Maybe or maybe not.
Well, you got 2 bags of them, so.
I finished one, so I only got one left because it tastes good.
For the Matt Chat Podcast, I'm Frank Ciato. That's Paul Ciato. That's BOD. And producer extraordinaire,
Peter Oberg.
Peter. I'm sorry. This is Matt Chat
BOD
Podcast.
does that
Like, share, subscribe, comment, guys. We appreciate all your support as always. Thanks again for tuning in for the Matt Chat Podcast. We'll catch you next time. Peace.